thanks for tuning in. This is OPTIBOTIMUS coming to you with another video review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the new Transformers Robots in Disguise Warrior Class Grimlock. For the packaging, as you can see, it's got the nice new Transformers logo here on the side, as well as the Robots in Disguise logo. And then you have a really nice image of Grimlock right there that kind of carries over. And I think it was P.O. that said it. I watched a couple videos on this, and I think it was his that basically said that he looks like Godzilla. And honestly, he kind of looks like Godzilla. I can't argue with that. But one thing that you're also noticing as being a warrior class figure, which is their new designation for deluxe, is he's a little bit smaller. I think some people would have been not much happier if he was a Voyager scale, especially since he does look like he's a little bit bigger in the show. But I don't know. I think it looks pretty good. Now, you come around here to the bottom, you got other figures that are currently available. On the back here, you got the instructions, which are all printed right here on the back. You don't actually get a paper instruction manual anymore. And the unfortunate nature of things is that's a little bit simplistic. As you can see with my Bumblebee review, kind of leaves things out like weapon storage. But at least they show you that he's got chomping action, as well as his robot in Dino mode, and that he transforms in 10 steps. It's magic. Also incorporated with the toy is the new Transformers game that's available on both iOS as well as Android. All you have to do is download it, then you scan the various faction symbols for all the Robots in Disguise figures, and it unlocks and allows you to play with that particular character. In this case, you can be Grimlock, and it looks like you can use a hammer or something like that, which I think is great. I've said it time and time again. I think that's a great way to kind of bridge the gap between where kids are now with what they play with in terms of playing video games more than playing with toys. I think this is a great way for Hasbro to incorporate both of those worlds. But for the packaging, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get him open and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have Grimlock opened up and out of its packaging, and he really does look like Godzilla. Maybe not necessarily the old school Godzilla, but like the 1998, I think it was Matthew Broderick Godzilla, kind of along those lines. But honestly, I really do dig this. It's a cool look. It's a different look for him. But as you can see, he is pretty small. So, to give you kind of a comparison, I mean, he is a deluxe size. Remember, the new Warrior figures are what they're calling the deluxe sizes. This is the deluxe class Scorn from the movie Advance line. And you can see there's a pretty big difference between these guys. I mean, this guy is definitely much smaller. And that's... it's definitely a downfall. I mean, the figures are definitely a smaller breed, but I still think that it looks pretty decent. It's got some interesting things about him. Obviously, he's got a very simple color palette on here. You got green and you got black. You got a couple splotches of gold on here. He's got blue eyes, and then some silver here on his nose and his teeth. His little dino arms here are just this solid green or gray plastic. So it is a very simple look for him, but generally speaking, I think it looks pretty good. I like it. As you can see, you can move his mouth up and down. You got this little gimmick going on, which is neat. His articulation, though, here is a little bit limited. He doesn't have anything at the head other than the jaw. The shoulders here for his little dino arms do move up and down, and they are very cartoonish. I mean, you got a very small bicep area, and then the forearm gets really big, which is kind of strange. The hips here move forward and back. They move in and out. These are going to be his robot arms. But one thing that I do like is that despite the different look for this guy, he does really maintain some of those classic kind of Grimlock elements. When you transform him, like I said, these become his arms in his robot mode. His head will flip back. These will be on the back of him. So, I mean, there's a lot of similar elements, and I do appreciate that. But there's no question he's a pretty small guy. Now, unfortunately, also, he doesn't come with any accessories. This is it. And that's a bit of a letdown just in of itself, but I guess Grimlock he doesn't need any kind of weapon or anything. Now, I do know some people are talking about giving Grimlock the Star Saber that comes with Bumblebee, and you can do that. He can hold it, and I'll show that off here in a bit, but for his Dino mode, that's really about it. Now, to transform him, I'm going to come around here. This whole section right here, along with the legs, kind of separates, so you want to pull this away just like so. Just loosen that up. It kind of tabs in there fairly securely, so you're going to just angle that out, get that out of the way like that. And then as you bring that around, you're going to take these arms and you're going to tuck them underneath what you just, or where you just basically had that. And that's kind of cool. I like that. And then you just tuck them up around here, and then these will lock into place right up there. Make sure you get those arms all the way back, little dino arms, and then just slot that in right up there, and you're seeing the chest being created. Come down here, kind of take this, fold this down, and then you can grab hold of this and split this. These little pieces right here will come apart. Bring that apart just like that. This whole section swivels, so you want to bring that around. It was up there, bring it around. Take this section here, that's a small little bit of his tail, fold that in there. And I love how they actually have like a fake one on the opposite side just to kind of give symmetry. You can see that's the actual functional one, and then you have that kind of outline, which I do really appreciate. As you rotate this around, you're going to have a little a tab that sticks out right there. That's going to come around and slot into that little groove section. So just bring that around, push that in, collapse it in, and that'll lock that into place. Do that on that side as well. Fold the foot forward just like that. And if you want to, you can leave them like this, and you can have an alligator mode, or I don't know. These little bits right here, this is kind of, I'm going to pull out a little teeny tiny screwdriver because these are hard to get to, but just fold that out, bring that around, and then rotate here at the elbow like so. And I'm just, still leave the dino head out there. Bring this out just like so. Rotate this around, kind of make sure that these arms are positioned up there. And then, like I said, very Grimlock-ish, you take this, rotate this back, and that just sits there. And there you have Grimlock in his robot mode. And I really like this guy's robot mode. It is small. I mean, as a deluxe, it is going to be smaller, and I could see where people would want him to be a Voyager. I think if you just took everything that you had right here and upscaled it to a Voyager, that would be really cool. But as it is, I think it's a decent figure. You can see it's a very bulky, kind of muscular looking character. And a lot of those same color elements stick with here with the black and the green. But when you do it, you get a little bit more gold here in the face, which is cool because it's very similar. I mean, you had the gold on the dino head, so I mean, that works. But one thing that's neat is when you do transform him, he does get a little bit bigger. So for comparison, here he is. And since I use the movie advanced version of Scorn in Dino mode for comparison, here's the regular Hasbro version in his robot mode. And here you can see they are basically the same size. I mean, head kind of matches up. I'm really impressed with how just much larger this character gets when you transform him. Now, again, it's still a deluxe figure, but I think this works very nicely for the scale. Now, despite the fact that he is a smaller character, he does still have a lot of articulation. The head here will just rotate left and right. Unfortunately, he does just have painted eyes, but I think that looks pretty good, especially since they're this light blue. I dig that. It's not too bad. The shoulders here rotate around. They move in and out, but that's about as far out as you're going to get him to move, which is kind of unfortunate, but it's not too terribly bad. He rotates here at the elbow itself. That's also part of the transformation, and then you can hear nice ratchet joints for the actual elbow moving forward and back. The wrists don't do anything other than move in and out, and that's just part of the transformation as well. Does he rotate at the waist? No, unfortunately nothing at the waist. You can see he's got a little pin here going for the hips, so he moves forward, moves back, they move in and out. He rotates at the upper part of the thigh, bends here at the knee, and those are actually on ratchet joints as well, which is nice. But when you're doing it, as you can see, because they're so stiff, it can make the whole section here pop out, which isn't too bad, but it's something that you do want to make sure you're paying attention to when you're doing it. And then I guess you could say he's got foot articulation. Now, like I mentioned, he unfortunately does not come with any accessories, but a lot of people have talked about using this. Now, he can hold it. As you can see, his hand does have the round section here for it, but the fingers are extended, so it's not like he's really gripping it, but you can take this and you can slide that in there, and you can have Grimlock holding that sword if you wanted to. He does have, like I said, those little peg sort of holes up by his hand, so you could do it. But for me, I'm happy with leaving this with Bumblebee and just imagining Grimlock here as being a giant brute that doesn't need any kind of weapon. He can just beat you up by himself. Again, he does have the sticker. It is a little bit off-centered. It's not as bad as Bumblebee's was, but the little dot dash dot thing around the Autobot logo is different from Bumblebee. So again, when you scan this with that Transformer app, it will identify this as Grimlock, allowing you to play as that character in the game. So I dig it. I just wish that the stickers weren't pre-applied, because it drives me nuts if they're not straight. And the more that I'm looking at it, especially when I look at it like this way, I can really see that it's not centered, and that's just going to drive me nuts. But maybe Repro Labels will come around and find out a way to replace that sticker with another sticker, because I don't know how much I'm going to actually play the game, but that's just me as an adult collector being nitpicky. Now, to transform them back, again, all you do, take the hands. We're going to tuck these in right like so. I'm going to rotate him here at the elbow. And one thing that I thought that would annoy me was the fact that you can see his hand here, but honestly, it doesn't bug me all that much. It kind of looks cool and blends in there, and it's a different look. I do like how it breaks up kind of the color that we have there. So I don't know, it's weird that I'm gonna like that, but it doesn't bug me. Rotate this around, bring this, and you got the two little pegs right here, and then the holes on the upper part of his chest that you bring this down and lock that into place. And I just find that funny, because you can have, like I said, Alligator Man, rawr. Then to separate these pieces, and then as you do, you rotate these, get that around, bring these out just like so, kind of hang these down there just for now. Take these side bits, going to loosen that up, and that's going to rotate around. Do that on this side as well, spin that around just like so, tuck those in there, bring out the one side of his tail, and then you just fit all this together, mashing it, squeezing it, putting it there. Take the feet, fold these down like so, and that's going to cover up this cavity here in the back, which does a pretty good job of hiding that. So lock it up there like so, then bring this around. And when you're doing this, you got the little pin right on the inside there. It slots right inside here. So it looks weird because it's not an actual thing sticking out, but because it's like a half of a hole. So you bring that in, but it fits in there very nicely, and then just squeeze that all the way in. Straighten out the legs, and here you have Grimzilla back in his dinosaur mode. And all in all, I do gotta say that I'm really very impressed with it. Yes, the size is a little bit disappointing. I can absolutely see and understand where people would prefer to have this as a Voyager, especially since in the cartoon it looks like he's a bigger character. But I'm happy with how this toy turned out. His dino mode, yes, looks weird, but I do like it. I think it's a little bit of a departure than what we've gotten before, and that fresh kind of look is pretty cool. The transformation, while again very simple, is really fun to do. There's a lot of interesting stuff that's going on here with the sliding out, rotating around as you're sliding. I mean, it's a pretty fun transformation. And even though that it is simple, me as an adult collector enjoys doing it. His robot mode, though, is really where I think that this figure looks the absolute best. Everything else is fantastic, but that robot mode just looks so cool. So without question, I highly recommend this figure. And if you see him, don't hesitate. Pick this guy up. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been OPTIBOTIMUS. Don't forget that you can keep in touch with me by liking my Facebook page at facebook.com/TeamBotimus, and by following me over on Twitter at twitter.com/OPTIBOTIMUS. Also, I'd encourage you to check out my new website at OPTIBOTIMUSreviews.com, where you can see all my videos from the previous week, see what I have coming up for future release, and also get your very own OPTIBOTIMUS t-shirt. And finally, I'd also really appreciate it, guys, that if you like this review, don't forget to please like, comment, and share this video. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.